Hey, how's it guys? In this tutorial, we'll learn how to create a YouTube bot using Python to download any channel's video info to an Excel spreadsheet. So this is a program I use pretty often when I want to see all the videos info of a channel. And sometimes I see people are paying like $100 to create a program like this, and hopefully this tutorial will help you to land your next freelance project as well. Alright, so here's the spreadsheet output that the program is going to generate. So I'm using Google Maps platform's channel and my channel as demonstration. So from this Excel spreadsheet, I have two tabs that basically contains the videos info of my channel and Google Maps platform's channel's video info. And some of the information we're going to be extracting, such as when is the video created, the video title, channel title description, video tags, category ID, and a couple other information. And since some of the critical information that people like to see is from a particular channel, what's the most popular videos from that channel. So here information like view count, like count, how many comments in each video. And I don't think YouTube use favorite count anymore, but it still keep the favorite counts field in the database. And here we have the video URL to link to that video. Alright, so let me close this Excel spreadsheet. Now let's look at the prerequisites that is required to create this program. Right, so there are three things we'll be needing. Alright, so the first item is going to be have a Google Cloud account, and this should be cloud, not service. So if you've ever used any Google Cloud service before or any Google APIs, then you probably already have a Google Cloud account. And if you don't, you can go to console.cloud.google.com to sign up for an account. And the next item is enable Google YouTube Data API. And the third item is make sure that you have your client file available. And if you are new to using Google Cloud Service or YouTube API, then you can check out my video on how to get started with Google APIs for Python development. And I'll link the link in the description below. And once you have everything from the list, we can now start writing the program. Right, so I created a Python library to simplify some of the things, such as Python library installation and a couple other things, which I'll show you in a second. Alright, so here I created this library called YouTube Inspector. It's a lightweight Python library, allows us to search for videos, retrieve videos info from a channel, and a couple other things. And here we have different examples. And to install the library, we need to first of all go to this GitHub repository. And here we want to grab the installation link. Now open your terminal and run the pip install command. Alright, so here in my project folder, here's my client file. And I already enabled my account's YouTube Data API service. Alright, so from the import statement, I'm going to import pandas library first, and let me increase the font size. And to interact with Excel spreadsheet, I'm going to use Win32 library. If you're on Mac or Linux, then you will need to use some other Excel package, such as Excel Writer or Pandas. Alright, so here I'm going to import the Win32 library. So I'm going to type import win32com.client as Win32. And from the YouTube Inspector library, .YouTube, I want to import the YouTube class. And here I have a typo. And from the YouTube Inspector library, I want to import two functions. The first function is going to be the convert duration function. And this function is used to convert the duration string from YouTube Data API's output into total seconds. And the second function is going to be locate channel ID function. So if you're not aware, YouTube actually changed their backend. So in the past, when we click into a video, and from the videos page, if we click on the channel's link, in the past, this is going to give you the channel's ID. But nowadays, I guess they changed the engine to only display the channel's name. And to extract channel's ID, which is what the API is going to be using to access a channel's info. So this locate channel IDs function. Here, let me go into the video. So this function will take a video's ID as a parameter or argument. And it's going to, actually let me import the libraries first. And this locate channel ID function is going to look at this video ID and return the channel's ID. Right, so believe it or not, these are all the libraries we'll be using to create a program. Right, so here, let's do this. I'm going to create a constant variable to store the client file path. And I'll pass the file path of the client file to this client file variable. The next step is we're going to create an Excel application object to interact with Excel in Python. So from Win32 to dispatch, we're going to pass the Excel application's name. And it's going to be Excel.application. And I'll name the object as Excel app. And once we construct the Excel application, I want to make sure that I set the application visible. Next, I want to create an Excel workbook. So from Excel application, .workbooks, .add, and it's going to be a method. Now let me go ahead and run these 4 lines. So here we have successfully constructed the Excel workbook. Now here I'm going to initiate my YouTube inspector instance. Right, so the class is going to be YouTube, and we're going to pass the client secret file or the client file path. And once we create the YouTube object, we need to initialize the service using the init service method. Now let me go into my project folder, and since I already authenticated my account, it's going to create this token files folder and store the connection access. I'm going to delete the token file here. And I'll go ahead and run these 2 lines. And it's going to launch the authentication page. And I'm going to choose my account. So click on Advanced, then click on this link to proceed. Now we need to grant permission to the app. So make sure that all the items are checked. Then click on Continue. And once you see the authentication flow has complete message, you can close this tab. And from the terminal, you're going to see this YouTube followed by the version ID service created successfully. And that means that we have successfully connected to YouTube Data API. From the YouTube object, we want to call the retrieve channel videos function. So this method has 2 parameters, channel ID and the ID type. So sometimes you can pass a channel's username to retrieve the videos info. So for example, let me click on the channel's ID. So here we have this Google Maps platform's user ID. So we can either pass the username and we'll set the ID type, and I'll set this to by username. And I'll name the output as response. So if I run this line here, and it's giving me an error, local variable response reference before assignment. Alright, so this is going to be one of the errors that I need to fix in the code. But here I have a typo. This should be by username. Alright, so if I run this line here, it's going to return this error message. No video returned. Perhaps channel ID is incorrect. So this is one of the things that I noticed, that this name does not always represent the username. So it's always better to use channel's ID. Alright, so here I'm going to set this to by ID, and which is going to be the default value. Now to get the channel's ID, I'm going to click on one of the videos of the channel. And here I'll grab the video's ID. And I'll reference the channel ID, actually locate channel ID function again. And I'll pass the video ID. And I'll name this as channel ID. Then I'm going to replace the username with the channel ID variable. Now if I run these two lines, it's going to create the response object successfully. Now if I print response, it's going to return a list where every single video is info in a dictionary. Alright, so here let's look at the first record. So before we proceed to transform the dataset into a data frame object. Alright, so here's the first record. So from this dictionary object, so we have, let's see, if I print the keys, we have the API object type, the eTag ID, the videos ID, snippet information, content details, and statistics. And to organize all this information into a single view. So going back to the top, I'm going to create a function called add report. And this function is going to take channel ID and the workbook object as the arguments value. Alright, so here I'm going to insert try except block. And for the exception, I'll simply just print the error message. And going back to the try block. So here I'm going to grab these two lines. Actually just this one here. And here I'm going to create the data frame object. And I'll pass response because we know this is a list of dictionaries. So we can pass response, which is a list, to create our first initial data frame object. And here, let's do this. I'll put this outside. I want to show you every single step line by line, and that way that you will learn much better. Right, so we know the response object still contains the list of videos info. Now if I go ahead and create the data frame object, and I'll print df, and it's going to give me 83 rows and 6 columns. Now let me just set the column width. Give me a second. Should be pandas option. Yep, right here. Now let me run these settings. Alright, so if I print the df object again. So from the main categories such as content details, snippet, and statistics, we can see that the records or the values are in a dictionary form. Now we need to break the values, key value pairs, into their own individual columns. And the way how we can do that is by referencing the column first. Actually, this should be a df followed by the column name. Now, if we want to separate each key value pairs into their own individual columns, we can use the apply function. Then we insert pd.series. So this is actually a function to read the dictionary object and separate them by each individual columns. Now we need to combine the three main categories: content, details, snippet, and statistics. So name the output df report. And I want to use the pd.concat function to combine all the columns into one single view. And it's going to be a list. Right, so we have snippet, content, details, and statistics. Right, so if I go ahead and create a df report object, and I'll print df report, and it's going to give me one single view of all the videos info. Now let's look at this duration column. So from the YouTube API, it's going to return the duration as a string that looks like this. So S stands for seconds, and M stands for minute. And because I don't see any video exceeds 60 minutes, so basically if a video is longer than an hour, it's going to have 1H stands for 1 hour. And using the convert duration function, this function will convert the string into total seconds, and from there we can do further calculations. Alright, so here let's do some cleanup. The first thing I like to do here is I like to fill all the NA value with an empty string. Next, I want to convert the duration column to total seconds. And we can apply the function to all the individual cells using the apply function. And we'll pass the function name. Now let me go ahead and run line 35 and 36. Now if I print df report duration, and it's going to return the values as integer. Alright, so let's look at the next item, which is going to be the tags column. Now let me print tags column first. So if we look at each individual value or output, we can see that each value is a list object. And unfortunately, Win32 does not accept a list object as the valid value to insert to Excel spreadsheet. So here we need to convert each list into a single string. And the way how we can do that is we can reference the column. Then we reference the string attribute. Then we join all the elements with a comma. We now have the strings instead of lists. And to create the video URL column, I'll name the column video space URL. So basically what we can do here is we can grab the video URL template. And we'll fill the feed value with the video's ID. And it's going to be the last step. We're just going to delete all the columns that we don't need. And this one's optional. So from the table, I want to delete thumbnails column. Region restriction column. Content rating. And localized. And here I want to add one more parameter, which is going to be else. And for this, I simply just want to ignore the error message. Right, so this is going to be all the cleaning up that we're going to do for this report. Now we're going to create a new worksheet from the Workbook object .worksheets.add, and I'll name the output as WS. So here, let me run this code block. So from this Excel spreadsheet, I create a new worksheet called Sheet 2. Now I need to paste the table to the Excel spreadsheet. And to make sure that we paste the content correctly, so here I'm going to reference the range function. Then I'm going to manually specify the dimension to insert the column header labels. So this is going to be insert column labels. And this will be data clean up. We're going to insert the labels in row 1. All the way to the last column based on our report size. So the first value is going to be the row index. The second value, or the second parameter, is going to be the column index. And because we're accessing Excel object data model, so we need to use 1 as the base index. Now from report, we want to reference the shape attribute to return the table size or table dimension. And to reference the column size, we're going to insert 1 as the index. Dot value is equals to data report dot counts. Right, so if I run this, the statement is going to insert the data labels to the first row on sheet 2. Now we need to insert the data. So I'll copy this code block. And I'll change the row reference to the second row. And for the destination, this will be df report dot shape, and it's going to be the first element. And here we need to increase the value by 1 because in Python the index base starts from 0. And for the content itself, so here we need to reference the df reports object. Now for the data output, we need to type df report dot values. We need to insert the content as a list or next list. Now here's the channel's video info table. And you can see that every single cell, the text is wrapped. So to unwrap the text, we can reference the worksheet object .cells .wrap text, and we'll set the property value to false. And I'll make sure that every single cell, the text is unwrapped. Right, so now we just need to take this code block and paste into our function here. And that's it to finish the Python program. I'm going to terminate this session, and I'll close this Excel workbook. Now let me use a different video. Let's use this video here, Cloud on Air. We'll grab the video ID. And this time I'm going to create a list of channels. Channel IDs, not channels. Channel IDs. And I'll go back to the previous video. And I'll grab the video ID of Google Map Platform's channel. Right, so this should be video IDs. So what I can do here is I can iterate each video ID. And I'll insert the locate channel ID function. And I'll insert video IDs variable to give me channel's ID. Then I'll run the add report function to insert the video's channels upload video info or table to the worksheet. And that'll be it. Alright, so I'm going to press F5 to run the script. And it's creating a new Excel spreadsheet. And I guess the first channel, the Google Cloud channel, has a lot more videos than I expect. And it's still working on grabbing all the videos info. And it looks like the program is finished. Now let's take a look. Alright, so here's the channel title that tells me which channel all the videos belongs to. And if I just do a quick selection, and that gives me count of 84. Now if I do a YouTube search, Google Maps Platform, to search for the channel, I should have 83 videos here, which matches to what we have here in this table. And for the second channel, we have 3,811 videos. So which is quite many. And from here, we can further analyzing the data, or we can create different apps to simplify users' user experience to make the app work better. Right, so this is going to be everything I'm going to cover in this video. And I'll post the source code in the description below in case you want to reference the Python script. Alright, so as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.